Hello and welcome to another video, guys. I hope you are all well. Today we are doing a quick venture. I say quick. We're doing a venture or an adventure into the wilderness. Now, this is going to cover a few things like Slayer and a few high key things that are in the new wilderness, some of the new spawn points. We're going to show off the new map, so it might help you guys find some of the mobs that you're looking for, and primarily Slayer though, and see what sort of loot that you can expect, and just answer some queries that people might have about the new wilderness. So let's jump into it. So of course, one of the primary things that you get in the new wilderness is the new Slayer task that we can do and the new rewards. For every single task that you complete, you will receive a Wilderness Slayer chest, which will have a certain set of items, but we'll go into that a little later. Of course, you also have access to the Wilderness drop table, which is also really nice. There are some nice items on there that either they're just minor boosts to your cash income, some of them can be quite considerable amounts of income, and of course it's just different. You know, there's certain certain mobs that you kill and certain items that you see that you just think, oh, that's weird. For example, bloodweed seeds, brawlers gauntlets, or whatever they're called, things like that. And wilderness hilt, there is items on here that just kind of make it feel a little bit fresh and a little bit new, and I certainly enjoyed that. And of course the fact that it's entirely safe now is really good. Speaking of which, there are some brawling gloves mining. So there's a good example. Brawling gloves I got on my very first task in the wilderness here. So that's an example. Perfect example. Stuff like that just makes it feel a little bit fresh and very new and just different. Not the same stuff that we're used to. So of course there are two new things in the wilderness that we do need to watch out for that mean that we can't really AFK that effectively. It's not a big deal, and I'm sure you guys have heard of it a little bit already, but you will get Voldemort? What on earth? You will get wilderness volcano eruptions that will come and hit you for ranged or magic damage, and you can tell because the magic is red and the ranged is green. Now this at threat level 10, which is the most important threat, because if you're spending any decent amount of time here, it doesn't take long to get to threat level 10. It can hit you up to 6k if you do not protect against the right thing, but if you do, it's nothing to worry about. The primary concern is the second feature in the wilderness, which is when the mobs spawn all around you because the creatures, I quote, are unhappy with your presence. And this can be at lower threat, absolutely no problem at all. You can just kill whatever spawns. It's normally 1 or 2 mobs. But if you're threat level 10, sometimes you can get an Akron Mammoth, Ripper Demons, Abyssal Lords ×2. It's absolutely insane. So the best thing and the best way to deal with this is just to run away for maybe 20 seconds and they will despawn after about 40 seconds to a minute. And then you can just go straight back to your Slayer task. So do watch out for that. It is risky if you take your eyes off the screen for too long. Also, guys, I want to get this out of the way quickly as well. I did say that the wilderness is entirely safe. I have mentioned this in a previous video before, but I want to make this absolutely clear. Cursed energy in your inventory, if it's traded to you, if you farm it in the wilderness, or even take it into the wilderness with you, I still believe that there is no warning or prompt on your screen to say that you're flagged for PvP, but you can be attacked at any point. That's a very nice drop. We just got a Revenant drop enhancer. Very nice. It's very important that you know that, so that if you do go to farm it, you're not bringing anything risky, and if you're taking anything risky in, avoid anything to do with cursed energy or trading anybody, just in case they're trying to lure you or take your items. We want this to be fun, not regretful. So we're just finishing up our very first task here, and as you can see, I didn't have inventory space, so the Wilderness Slayer chest spawns on the floor, but if you have space, it jumps straight into your inventory. So yeah, that's how that works. So moving on to our second task, we got Abyssal Beasts, I believe. These are of course dotted all around the wilderness. I will put on screen towards the end of this video a little map so that you can see where all the new creatures are. It doesn't show every single creature in the game, but it does show you the creatures that are new. So it's a useful map, and I've actually set it as my desktop background on my computer just to help me out a little bit. So I did do 10 tasks to give me a good feel and a good idea of what's going on in the wilderness, and honestly I really enjoyed my time in here. There were moments where it was very, very close, but I didn't actually die the entire time, although I am bringing Crypt Bloom and my Staff of Armadil, and to be honest, I don't need to have that sort of level of stuff, but again, I didn't die anyway. So I also got Revenants, and I am such a PvP noob. I've never actually been to the Revenant, so I actually had to look up how to get to the Revenant cave. I did come down here, did some Revenants. I managed to get a few drops like a Corrupted Dragon Helmet, which is good for the log, but not very expensive. I did get tier 78 Ranger gear, only one piece, only worth 1.4 mil, but again, brand new. Revenants were actually very, very enjoyable because their drop log is absolutely massive, and you see things that you've just never ever seen before. I got an Armadil statuette. I don't really know what that is either, but yeah, we had a good time down here. I did actually get followed by a certain person in here while I was doing the task, and I was like, this guy, like, he looks pretty sus, you know. He was following me around, and I was like, he must be trying to attack me. Yeah, he must be. So I ended up running away. Although it's meant to be safe, I just ran away. I'm a complete wuss. I just ran away. As you can see there, that is where we got the Corrupted Slayer helmet in a matter of seconds. You can even get a pet version of every single Revenant as well. So again, I found this really, really enjoyable. It felt very, very new place I'd never been, new creatures I'd never fought, and new drops I'd never heard of. Really, really good fun. For those of you who are curious, this was the drop that I got, whatever that is. I got that, the tier 78 range gear. Again, like I said, really, really cool, really good fun doing Revenants, and really, really easy as well. They have very low health. In fact, I think a lot of people actually farm them in Legacy, so yeah. You know, whatever. Let's move on to the next task. Now, of course, I'm not going to bore you with every single task that I did in all 10, but I will highlight this one and the next one. So this was Living Wyverns, and I was kind of dreading this because they're a bit of a pain with the fires you have to start. You don't want to get too frosted. They do poison damage. They do quite high damage. It's multi-combat. They respawn really quickly. You've got the volcano. You've got mobs that spawn. That's just to list the ones that are off the top of my head. There's probably something I'm missing as well. So it can be quite problematic or quite troublesome to fight them, or I thought it would be. But actually, as it turns out, while I was doing the Living Wyverns, I realised that actually the rewards for doing Slayer in the Wilderness actually are quite insane. I managed to get 3, that's right, 3 Raptor Key Part 1s or Raptor Key Part 1s in this task alone, and I only had to kill like 54 Living Wyverns. So I was absolutely blown away that you can actually get those at that sort of rate, because the Raptor chest can hold some pretty cool stuff as well, and it's just an extra exciting drop to get. The Wyvern bones at the moment, as it's double XP, are sitting over 26k a piece as well, so the loot's good. I'm not going to break down too much of the loot that wasn't Wilderness special, because of course I'm sure we've all done Slayer many, many times, and we're evaluating what's different in the Wilderness. But yeah, you get the idea. I was absolutely over the moon with the outcome of this. I made, honestly, in these 10 tasks that I did, I made millions, actual millions. I was really, really happy. Speaking of millions, we actually got a task to do Abyssal Beasts, and I didn't know that these guys could actually drop these. I went here, and obviously with Greater Chain and things like the Omni Power combined with Greater Chain, Blaster Fusion Boots using the detonation, these AoE farming is really easy with Crypt Bloom, as well as the, Staff of Armadil doing really nice hit chance and stuff. And we actually managed to get ourselves the helmet, Jaws of Abyss. So those were a really, really nice drop. I've never actually had them before, and I didn't know that they could drop from the non-Abyssal Lords. Maybe it's only the whip that drops from Abyssal Lords, but yeah, as you can see on screen, absolutely blown away with that as well. That was an exciting drop. That is 17 mil that's valued at as well, and I believe it's quite key as a switch for melee rotations. Not that I know, I don't do melee rotations, but at least it should be at least sold for, I'd say, at least 15 minutes worth, hopefully, or it might even be worth more, who knows. But yeah, really, really nice drop in the Wilderness again. So for my final 10th task that I was doing for this video, fortunately we got everybody's well-known Wilderness Slayer task, Lava Strikeworms. Now, obviously we can now go to the Lava Strikeworms without risking any gear from PvP loss entirely. Which that, of course, so back in the day with Wilderness being the way it was, I used to have a Royal Dragonhide set and a crystal bow or something. I was an absolute wuss, and if I did die, I didn't want to lose too much. I used to only loot up to 5 Searing Ashes and then run to that guy you can see on screen in the corner there to bank the 5 Searing Ashes and then rinse and repeat. So if I did die, I never lost too much money. Now I managed to stay here for the entire task, and Searing Ashes are still sitting at a whopping 60k each, even though the wilderness is in the current state it's in. That's primarily because that they are used for making aggression potions, and aggression potions are always in high demand. So these were really, really cool. They didn't drop anything too rare. I got some fury sharks and preserved meat, which of course isn't really very exciting, but the Searing Ashes at 60k each were absolutely insane. So I will show you how much we made by the end of this task. Also, if you are at all curious as to what I do when I was getting my task, I was using my Slayer task to teleport to Mandrith at level 54 Wilderness. You will get a prompt to ask, are you sure? But it's not a PvP prompt, I promise you. Do not worry, you can just accept that. After I do my task, I actually run up to Mandrith again because I'm so far north anyway, run past him up to the northeast and go into the little building where you have to slash the webs, and then you pull the lever. That lever puts you inside a little thing underground which is not wilderness based, so you can teleport out of there safely. There's also a bank there, and it obviously also reduces all your threats. So if you are struggling with spawns from the volcano or with the creature spawns, it lowers your threat back down to 0, which is really, really useful. So as you can see on screen, I actually made 10 mil from the task, and over 9 mil of that was in the Searing Ashes, which are a guaranteed drop. So if you do want to come in here, you could even do these off Slayer tasks and make an absolute fortune. Now then, to sum up my experiences of the wilderness from my very first time, and with a decent chunk of time spent in there, I think it's absolutely fantastic. Now, I will admit that there are certain things in the wilderness that are very, very difficult. There's certain creatures that are quite tough, even if you're very well geared. So if you're not well geared, you may well struggle. I strongly recommend that you only go in there if you're confident fighting things, not because of the PvP thing, not because of the risk thing, but primarily because some of the mobs can be quite difficult. Some of the tasks are easy, and some of them are the opposite end of the spectrum. So do consider what you go in there to do carefully. I would strongly recommend that the task that asks you to kill Ash Lords or Berserker Greater Demons, that you just do not do that task. They have 150,000 life points like ED4, but they hit like absolute buses. Do not do that task. Just cancel it, save yourself a bunch of time, and do a task that's much, much easier. Now then, moving on to the Wilderness Slayer chest rewards I said we would go through. For these, I'm actually not going to open these on screen because I quite like to save up a bunch of these and open them with all of you. They do take quite a bit of time to get, and I've only got 10 so far, and I feel like it would be a little bit underwhelming for the amount of time I put in just for the 10 chests. But we will break down what you can actually expect to get or chance to get from those chests. So as you can see on screen, we can get things like the Ancient Warriors Equipment Patch. You can get the Annihilation, the Decimation, and the Obliteration Tier 87 weapons, which is really, really cool. They're probably very, very rare, and of course the rarity is unknown because this is still very fresh content. You do get chances for Death Touch darts. Every single Brawling Glove you can expect. You can get things like Trail Begone and Volcanic Protection, which are things to help you with the threat level mitigation or the volcanic damage. I think it means that you don't take damage from the next one. Lucky Charms. The Wilderness Hilt, of course, is on the drop table. But one of the main things that we're looking at, of course, is the Necronium Salvage. Now, I'm really disappointed that the mobs inside the Wilderness don't drop the Necronium Salvage because they're really worthwhile, like they're good money, but also they're brand new, and the only way you can get them, I know for sure at the moment, is from these chests. They're not even in the Wilderness drop table, I believe, which is a real shame. Hopefully that will change in the future, but as you can see on screen, this is all extra for doing your Slayer tasks in the Wilderness as opposed to doing them the way that you're used to doing. So I would say worth it once again. Now, I'm sure you have a pretty good idea of where I stand. What I've done just here on screen is withdrawn most of the main drops that I got, the noticeable ones, things from my Onyx Dragons, the Searing Ashes from the Lava Strikes, the Wyvern Bones, the Jaws of the Abyss, and some of the Wilderness drops as well. This, of course, does not even closely represent what I got in total. We got loads and loads of salvage, loads of other things, Dragonstone. I won't even list them all. There's so many. I know for a fact that I've made between 40 and 45 mil doing my 10 tasks, and that is absolutely insane, and I had a great time doing it. So to sum up, I believe that the Wilderness is really cool. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video as well. Hit that like button, hit that sub button. Let me know if you want me to continue building on these Wilderness Slayer chests, and I'll see you all in the next video.